Deanna, you started to hint at the difference between, or your different experiences in customer support versus customer success. And I've heard people say before, I want to get your take on it, that it almost takes different personalities to work in customer support versus success, where customer support, you're almost like a firefighter or problem solver, as you just mentioned. You're trying to put out fires. It's an emergency, here I am, solve it. Whereas customer success, maybe you're more of an architect and you're trying to plan out how this person can live in an ideal situation. Help us really unpack the difference between those two, and can the same individual transition from one to the other?
Yeah. I love how you explain that, like this architect sort of person when it comes to customer success. There is definitely a difference between both, or obviously we wouldn't have two departments, right? Like in customer support, I do feel we are a little more reactive. We're waiting for the customer to have a problem. We are very much solution oriented, and not to say that in customer success you're not solving, but sometimes the answer is actually not to solve, it's to dig more in customer success. Whereas in support, it's like, maybe it's the way that sometimes we structure our metrics in customer support, where we're like, we want to have less than X touches, and that's a good way to measure, if we're being effective. And in customer success, you might have drawn out conversations where that metric would be flushed down the toilet if you were doing like more of a customer success approach, right? So there's the reactive and the proactive nature of the role. In customer success, it's also, you're kind of like the strategic partner. You're a project manager in a sense, because when the customer comes in, you should be developing some sort of success plan. And you should be pushing this customer along those milestones to get them to that value that they bought your service for. Whereas in customer support, we're more of like a call me up when you need me kind of situation, right? We're not really, while we might establish relationship with long-term customers, we're not like, hey, Henry, thanks for, we don't really do that in customer support like that. It does happen, but it's very, one in a few. Whereas in customer success, you need to establish that relationship, and, big buzzword in customer success, create kind of like this trusted advisor role for the customer, that they can view you as a trusted advisor. And the other part too, which I think there is a little bit of an overlap between support and success there, is thinking about what they might ask down the road, like what might they encounter down the road, where I think there was a question there that maybe you might have in the future, but when it comes to support, it's more of like, let me think about what might come next after I close out this ticket. And in success is very similar. But I do think that the person that does support can actually do success very well. And I am biased because I made the transition myself, right? So I'm like, I did do a good job.
Right.
I hope I did.
Yeah.
I will, and I'm getting more clear now on saying this, but as a customer success manager, I would rate myself a 7 out of 10. Like, there were definitely some gaps that I had there, and I think some of it was because I was still developing myself as a customer success professional, but still kind of working with my customer support mindset. So we go back to the like, I'm trying to focus on solutions here, instead of like, I need to dig and push this person a little bit more. So you also have to come in with this sense of like, the customer isn't always right. Whereas in support, it's one of these things where it's like, oh, the customer's always right, I guess, So yeah, I would say you can do it, but there's a lot that we hold on to as support folks when we move over to customer success.
No hugs. Legally bound to take care of you, so that's what I'm gonna do. In turn, you're gonna ditch the attitude and be obedient, so we can do our job, fighting fires.
Why does it have to be fighting the fires? Can't it just be containing it or resolving it?
Oh my gosh, for crying out loud. I can no longer hold my tongue. So what needs to happen right now, like literally this second, is you gotta watch your tone, little sister.
Or what?
Or what?